As I introduce our graduation speaker, I will begin with the professional achievements. Dr. Menna Demessie is a senior research and policy analyst for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and adjunct professor of political science at the University of California, Washington Center. After graduating from Western Reserve Academy, Dr. Demessie received her BA in economics and law with honors from Oberlin College, where she also served as the senior class president. Afterwards, she received a joint PhD in public policy and political science from the University of Michigan. In 2011, having received the American Political Science Association Congressional Fellowship, Dr. Demessie worked for Representative Barbara Lee, U.S. House of Representatives, in the 112th Congress. In her latest publication of the Political Science and Politics Journal entitled Congress from Inside, U.S.-Africa Foreign Policy and Black Ethnic Politics, she discussed the importance of emerging black ethnic constituencies in the American polity and the need for the U.S. government to recognize the value of working in partnership with the diaspora communities in addressing U.S. foreign policy. Menna is accustomed to speaking at WRA's graduation. She was the class speaker her senior year. Beyond her recent activities and education here at Western Reserve Academy, we remember Menna as a student. In fact, I remember Menna and her family entering my office as she applied to Western Reserve Academy. Her father is here with us today, too. As Menna explained when I called to ask her to speak at graduation, she responded, "How can I turn you down? You admitted me to Western Reserve Academy." I'd like to welcome Menna back to WRA and introduce her as our graduation speaker, Dr. Menna Demessie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Berner. After that introduction, I can't wait to hear myself speak too. Well, congratulations to the class of 2014. How are you all feeling? Today is your day to celebrate your achievements, to take a step back and realize from where you've come, and to take a deliberate step forward into your future to determine where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to learn, and more importantly, why and to what end. To the friends and family today, this is your day as well. Your unwavering love and support has built a foundation of strength for these graduates. To the parents, we salute you on being the mothers and fathers you are so that your sons and daughters can be the successful young women and men that they are. And to the blessed grandparents whose reflections are carried in the legacy of your progeny, may you revel in the accomplishments of your grandchildren as they take flight to new beginnings. Alex Haley once said, "In every conceivable manner, the family is the link to our past and the bridge to our future." So let us all celebrate the love and support of aunts, uncles, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, friends, and grandparents for these amazing graduates. And of course, the teachers, the administration, the trustees, the alumni, this is your day to witness the fruits of your labor and investment. For Senor Jim Fraser, who was also my Spanish teacher, the longest-serving teacher at Western Reserve Academy, as they mentioned, 47 years and retiring this year. It means reflecting on those dedicated years of teaching at the Academy, coaching cross-country, and serenading several graduating classes in that cute plaid skirt playing bagpipes. Señor, muchas gracias por su servicio, y lo siento si no hablo bien, pero usted era mi profesor. Felicitaciones. And for Mrs. Fran McHugh, the headmaster's right-hand assistant for 20 long years, also retiring this year, it means saying farewell and thank you for your generous years of service, for ensuring the day-to-day operations of this institution to stay on task with Mr. Berner's overall mission for WRA to strive for excellence, live with integrity, and act with compassion. And thank you, Mrs. McHugh, for being one of the nicest, most loving human beings I've ever met. Both you and Senor will be truly missed. So Mr. Berner took a chance on selecting a relatively young commencement speaker to address you. I had a conversation with Tom Vince, our archivist, and he told me that every century they like to select at least one young female speaker. But of course, he told me he could not verify this fact and that I would have to talk to Senor Fraser, who would be the only person capable of verifying whether or not in the past 100 years this has been the case. Es una broma. It was a joke. So as I put my thoughts together for this speech, I found out that Time magazine, some of you may know this, has a list of the 10 best commencement speeches, everything from Steve Jobs to President John F. Kennedy, from Stephen Colbert to the late David Foster Wallace. So I thought if I took a piece of each speech from these 10 best speeches in Time magazine, then logically my speech would be the best speech of all time. No pun intended. But of course, there was no need to do that, because I had already spoken to many of the graduates sitting before me today, and I got all the inspiration I needed from them. I spoke with Selena Walsh, the student body president, who absolutely loves you all and this school. She told me about how she cherished the memories of coming to Reserve since the age of 8 with her father, who has been the IT director here for years. She was so thankful and proud to be her father's daughter and will always remember him taking her to campus throughout her childhood years. She also spoke of her other classmates and their I Believe speeches, and how she was particularly touched by Mitch Pollack's speech, and about the success and how instrumental a role his parents have played in his life. I spoke with Linda Adams from Belarus, the country north of Ukraine and in between Poland and Russia, as she proudly explains to folks who always ask her where Belarus is, and she always tells them with a loving, welcoming, non-judgmental smile. I also spoke to Lily Liu from China, Imani Perry from my hometown of Cleveland, and Diane Ogade, my Nigerian-American sister, and got a chance to hear about their passion to help make WRA a place of cultural awareness and appreciation for all. I talked to Alexander Fellows and Miles Van Blarkum, your senior class president, who received the highest ranking, as Mr. Berner mentioned, within the Eagle Scouts and planted an apple orchard in Hudson with his friends for his Eagle Scout project. He told me also how proud he was of all of you, and that in addition to everyone being especially close, no one in your class has gotten into trouble, no one's been expelled, and no one has given any of the teachers a hard time. You should be proud of yourself. He said his class exemplifies perseverance, leadership, and balance. He boasted about students like Ann Yu, another graduating senior here, who happens to be one of the best violinists in the country and played for the Cleveland Orchestra. And I got a chance to look at your performance on the WR Facebook site, and you are amazing. She breathes life into the violin just as fast as she takes your breath away with it. And then there is a very special young man that every senior I spoke to in the past month mentioned as someone they admired and were proud to call a friend. A resilient young man whose name was spoken with such pride by his friends that I had to learn more about him. His name is Joe Blanda, and after watching his YouTube videos Miles told me about, he calls him You Can Call Me Joe, Beautiful Sadness, Make Your Own Medicine, Running Your Own Route, I can say that if everyone had a Joe Blanda in their life, not only would the world be a better place, but we would be that much closer to overcoming our fears and anxieties, no matter what our challenges are in life. I can stand here and, like Mitch said, give you the cliche quotes of famous historical figures, but why do that when we have our own hero sitting right before our eyes? In his YouTube video entitled Running Your Route, Joe says, quote, "Everything moves on. No storm lasts forever. Run your route. Do what you gotta do. It's tailored to yourself. You can idolize people, but it's really all about you. What you're going to do, who you're going to feed, and who you're going to support. So it's up to you," end quote. Joe Blanda, I want to thank you for being you, because more than the cancer you are battling, your brilliant mind, your zeal for life, and your courage are enough to move mountains, to change minds, to reverse the odds, and to inspire your friends sitting next to you to shoot for the stars, no matter how far their reach. To know that the storm won't last forever, as you say. Joe, thank you for sharing your story. If you're looking to be inspired, folks, just go to youtube.com, look up this man right here, Joe Blanda, and then go to blastgbm.com and make a donation to support brain tumor research. I made a donation last night, and I wish you all the best. Joe, congratulations on graduating and for inspiring your classmates to be the best they can be and live every moment with optimism in the face of uncertainty. Your fellow classmates adore you, and we are all constantly inspired by your strength and love for life. And that's what it's all about, loving your life and the people in it and giving back. The truth of the matter is, I'm not telling you anything new because all of you are destined for greatness. Your hard work and perseverance will take you far, and WRA has prepared you well. The more important question I raised earlier is, so what are you going to do about it and why? You will have to answer that question. And to be honest, the beauty in life is not the destination, but the journey you will take to get there and who you will impact along the way. In 1998, I stood here as speaker for my senior class and never took for granted the life lessons learned at Reserve. Born and raised in Cleveland by parents who immigrated from Ethiopia in the 1970s, just prior to the socialist regime takeover of the last emperor, Haile Selassie, the sacrifice my parents endured has never been lost on me. They came to this country at your age. They were seniors in high school who were top of their class in Ethiopia and completed their senior year of high school through the American Field Service Program, which still exists today. Before the socialist regime in Ethiopia imprisoned and killed thousands of people who were perceived as a threat to their power, my parents made their way back to the United States thanks to the help of a proud and progressive Jewish man by the name of Harvey Gittler from New York City. He lived in Oberlin, Ohio, and was an engineer by trade, but also held every position of the American Civil Liberties Union in the state of Ohio. He championed the causes of minorities, women, and the poor. He worked to recruit Republicans into the ACLU and defended the rights of workers to unionize, where he was president at Tappan Air Conditioning Company in Elyria, Ohio. He took joy in me praying with him in Hebrew and celebrating Christmas with us in December. He was a worldly man who knew nothing more than sharing his life with others. It was not only the right way to live, it was the only way to live. My grandpa, Harvey, his world of compassion, excellence, and integrity were instinctive, rational, necessary, and he expected nothing less of the people around him. Inequality, racism, discrimination against women, the disabled and the poor, and the dehumanization of those different from you were absolutely incomprehensible and intolerable to him. I learned a great deal from this man, as well as my parents, who taught me that the best way to live the American dream is to know its history, its triumphs, but also its tribulations, so you can be better for it. To know the role of African Americans like Fannie Lou Hamer and Congressman John Lewis, and the role they played in the procurement of civil rights and the development of freedom and democracy while they were being denied it. To know labor leaders like Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez in the founding of the National Farm Workers Association. To know that Native Americans peoples continue to remain invisible to many of us, though their struggle for economic equality continues. Or to know Aung San Suu Kyi's nonviolent movement for the people of Burma. To know that while poverty continues to wreak havoc in developing nations across the globe, it has and continues to do so in urban and rural communities right here in the United States. But to also know that we have made great progress on the backs of those who have come before. And regardless of your political affiliation, the election of President Obama in our lifetime is testimony to how far we've come and how far we will go. And to know that success is not all about you, but about how you will use your success to help others. To the class of 2014, your job is to know that the world is much bigger than you, but that you also have a hand in making the world go round. Former Congressman Ron Dellums, co-founder of the Congressional Black Caucus and a chief sponsor of the Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act, who's now become a friend of mine. He talks to my students when I teach. He said to my students last year, quote, "We can no longer have a unilateral vision in a multilateral world," end quote. Therefore, you can either contribute to the madness and misunderstanding of warfare, ethnic strife, climate change, war and poverty, terrorism, homelessness, or racism, or you can be part of the movement of leaders that the world so desperately needs for understanding and positive change. And the kind of movement I'm talking about doesn't necessarily begin with a fancy name and a list of members or even a designated schedule for meetings and organizing. In fact, oftentimes no one will know you are part of it except yourself. The kind of movement I'm talking about is the self-initiated awareness and knowledge that empowers you to be bridge builders, peace creators, and change makers because it's ingrained in who you are and not because someone is watching you. The kind of learning and experience I'm talking about is not necessarily, as I mentioned, what you get in the classroom, but I'm talking about the book you decide to read in your spare time, like Joe Blanda, or the TED Talk you listen to in between classes, or the deliberate attempt you make to sit at the cafeteria in college with a group of people who look nothing like you, the homeless person you intentionally say hello to even if you don't have money to spare, the offer you make to help a blind person cross the street instead of trying to hop around her walking stick before it hits you, The struggling student you offer to befriend in class and help him or her with the class material. The bus driver you greet by name because you see him or her every day, all semester, and you say thank you because without him or her, you wouldn't get to class on time. And the greetings you give to the janitors that clean your dorms, the people who cook your food, and the secretaries and staff that give you directions as you make your way through college for the next 4 years. Because in addition to you, they also have had a hand in your success story. Your call to action, my friends, is to be intentional in your generosity, deliberate in your will to understand a complex, interdependent world, inviting to those who are different from you, resolute against the dehumanization of unfair treatment and violence against others, and to be outspoken when injustice occurs. You are a reserve graduate, and that means you lead already with a heart of compassion and a mind of wisdom. It means you don't get too caught up in being the helper while overlooking those who have helped you. It means being confident in your open-mindedness and deliberate in your civility, even though you know that there's a lot and so much to learn, and that you see the humanity in people because you try every day to change and be the change you want to see in the world, as Mahatma Gandhi so eloquently put it. So success is yours. It always has been. But you must find connectedness to people and communities different from your own to make the world a better place. And to be more frank, we really need you, desperately. Look at what is going around the world, in Syria, in Ukraine, in Nigeria. And how about right here in the United States, where economic inequality persists and teenagers currently have an unemployment rate 3 times the national average, while college students are burdened with paying their loans. We need your vision for a better, more unified world. We need your leadership and understanding to help us all get to that more perfect union. We need you to represent marginalized communities who may never have a voice at the table or the opportunities you have, but can live a better life because they can benefit from your success and service. My call to you is to travel the world, learn another language if you haven't already. Have a conversation with the person you're sitting next to on the metro instead of texting a friend. Enjoy the beauty of your journey. And don't forget to prioritize happiness along the way. Create a new mainstream in the United States and across the globe, the kind of mainstream where success and service are one and the same. So as you continue to strive for excellence, live with integrity, and act with compassion, I will leave you with 5 philosophies my grandfather Harvey Gittler lived by, and I try to follow in my own daily life. Number 1, you shall pay to each person his full measure so that when you leave this earth, you will owe no man or woman anything except your thanks for his love and friendship. This is also known as the restaurant philosophy, or why you should leave the waiter a tip. Number 2, nothing is worth having or worth possessing unless it can be shared with others. Number 3, the only value money has is the good it can do, or the help it can bring, or the happiness it can give to others. By itself, it is a worthless commodity. Number 4, if you don't believe in something, then don't do it. But don't tell me what to do or not to do. This is also known as the anti-prohibition doctrine. And finally, number 5, your graciousness of spirit, graciousness of deed, and graciousness of manner are what separate the noble ones from the rest. Our community, our country, and our world is nothing but what you and all of us helped to make it. So congratulations to the class of 2014 at Western Reserve Academy. Each one of you, you are destined for greatness, and may the world be better for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Menna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've got a little something for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a little hot right now. Thank you, Menna, and welcome back. I now call on Mr. Timothy Warner, class of '69, and co-president of the Board of Trustees. Tim Warner.